Thank you, Nina and Ricky. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alma Angeles for NET25 World News. On tonight's headlines. President Trump has temporarily paused the 25% tariffs on Mexican and Canadian auto imports for 30 days.
So the three companies that he spoke to are Stellantis, Ford, and General Motors. They requested the call, they made the ask, and the president is happy to do it. It's a 1-month exemption.
News out of Washington, the CIA has officially paused intelligence sharing with Ukraine, according to Director John Ratcliffe's announcement. And this comes just days after the U.S. suspended military aid to Kiev.
We have taken a step back and are pausing and reviewing all aspects of this relationship.
And the news starts now. The tariff landscape is shifting dramatically. President Trump has temporarily paused the 25% tariffs on Mexican and Canadian auto imports for 30 days, triggering a stock market rally as investors glimpsed potential relief in the trade conflict. But today's meeting with Prime Minister Trudeau yielded no breakthrough, and Trump's congressional address yesterday reaffirmed his commitment to these controversial trade measures against traditional allies, with indications that additional tariffs are in the pipeline. Take a look.
U.S. President Donald Trump will exempt automakers from his punishing 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico for 1 month, as long as they comply with the terms of an existing free trade agreement. That's according to White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
The president is giving them an exemption for 1 month so they are not at an economic disadvantage. So the three companies that he spoke to are Stellantis, Ford, and General Motors. They requested the call, they made the ask, and the president is happy to do it. It's a 1-month exemption.
Auto stocks rose on the news. Trump is also open to hearing about other products that should be exempted from the tariffs, which took effect Tuesday, the White House said. The levies pose extreme difficulties for automakers, which produce vehicles in all three countries and often ship parts across North American borders multiple times as they get built up into systems and finished vehicles. Automakers have expressed support for boosting U.S. investment, but want certainty over tariff policies as well as on vehicle emissions rules, two industry sources told Reuters. Trump also might eliminate the 10% tariff on Canadian energy imports, such as crude oil and gasoline, a source familiar with the discussion said. The announcement came after a phone call in which Trump said on Truth Social he told Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau that his country is not doing enough to stop fentanyl smuggling.
He said that he was not pleased, as you said. He said it's not good enough. He told Prime Minister Justin Trudeau that directly. The call ended in a somewhat friendly manner, as the president said, but he's not going to stop standing up for the American people.
Talks will continue between the two countries, Trudeau's office said. The tariffs could threaten to derail Canada's fledgling economic recovery and could trigger a recession, as the country relies on the United States for 75% of its exports and a third of all imports. Trade tensions may already be hurting the United States. New data released on Wednesday showed slowing payroll growth, as well as lower wage growth for workers who switched jobs, with uncertainty around Trump's policies a likely factor.
The tariffs are not just about protecting American jobs. They're about protecting the soul of our country. Tariffs are about making America rich again and making America great again, and it's happening, and it will happen rather quickly. There'll be a little disturbance, but we're okay with that. It won't be much. No, you're not. Oh. And look where Biden took us, very low, the lowest we've ever been.
News out of Washington, the CIA has officially paused intelligence sharing with Ukraine, according to Director John Ratcliffe's announcement. And this comes just days after the U.S. suspended military aid to Kiev. And analysts are saying this is clearly Trump's way of pressuring President Zelensky to engage in peace talks with Russia.
The United States has paused intelligence sharing with Ukraine. the latest dramatic reversal in what had been vital military cooperation as Washington helped Kyiv battle a brutal Russian invasion. The move stands to significantly hamper Ukraine's ability to defend itself in the midst of the largest conflict in Europe since the Second World War. And it further piles pressure on Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to cooperate with U.S. President Donald Trump's demands in convening peace talks with Russia. The decision, announced Wednesday by CIA Director John Ratcliffe, illustrates the Trump administration's willingness to play hardball with an ally, to force it to the negotiating table just days after halting U.S. military aid to Kyiv. U.S. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz.
We have taken a step back and are pausing and reviewing all aspects of this relationship. But I just got off the phone before I walked out here with my counterpart, the Ukrainian National Security Advisor. We are having good talks on a location for the next round of negotiations, on delegations, on substance.
A day before Wednesday's announcement, Ukrainian lawmaker Serhiy Rachmanin expressed his concerns to Reuters about whether Washington would allow other partners to pass on information.
They have the ability to limit the amount of information that our partners can share with us. That is, the problem here is not only and not so much about the restrictions on the information the United States have. The issue is what possible restrictions they may impose on the transfer of information from our partners.
On Monday, Washington halted military aid to Kyiv following a disastrous Oval Office meeting last week, in which Trump and Zelensky engaged in a shouting match before the world's media. The clash delayed the signing of a Ukraine-U.S. minerals deal. But on Tuesday, Trump said he received a letter from Zelensky in which the Ukrainian leader said he was willing to come back to the negotiating table. The White House says it's now reconsidering.
In an address to the nation, French President Emmanuel Macron has signaled a potential shift in France's nuclear defense policy that could reshape European security. Take a look. President Macron has opened the door to extending France's nuclear umbrella to protect other European nations amid growing concerns about Russia's threat to the continent. In his televised address, Macron emphasized France's sovereign nuclear capabilities.
Our nuclear dissuasion protects us. It is complete, sovereign, fully French. Since 1964, it has always explicitly played a role in the preservation of peace and security in Europe. But answering to the historic call of the future German Chancellor, Friedrich Merz, I decided to open the strategic debate on the protection through our dissuasion of our allies in the European continent. Whatever happens, the decision has always been and will remain in the hands of the French president.
La décision a toujours été et restera entre les mains du président de la République.
This comes after German Chancellor-designate Friedrich Merz questioned NATO's future and called for discussions with France and Britain about expanding their nuclear protection. Historically, France's nuclear strategy has been strictly defensive, designed to protect only its own vital interests. The policy dates back to the Cold War era, when President Charles de Gaulle established an independent nuclear force. Today, France's nuclear arsenal includes approximately 290 warheads deployed via Rafale fighter jets and nuclear submarines, all under the direct command of the French president. Meanwhile, Russian officials have responded harshly. Senior Russian Senator Konstantin Kosachev condemned Macron's assessment. He said such an erroneous analysis leads to fatal errors. Macron maniacally imposes on his citizens, allies, and the entire world a completely false concept of what is happening. The Russians are coming. Such false conclusions and false suggestions lead to the abyss. Meanwhile, a Russian missile struck a hotel in Kryvyi, Ukraine late Wednesday, killing 4 and injuring 31, with many in critical condition. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky shared a video of the rescue efforts, revealing that a group of international volunteers narrowly escaped harm by seeking shelter just in time. The attack was part of a broader assault involving 2 ballistic missiles and 112 drones. While Ukrainian air defenses intercepted many of the drones, the attack underscored ongoing vulnerabilities amid escalating tensions. 8 people were injured in South Korea after bombs dropped by an Air Force jet landed in a civilian district, damaging houses and a church during military exercises in Pocheon. Now, an official with Gyeonggi-do Bukbu Fire Services said out of the 8 people wounded, 2 were seriously hurt. Pocheon is about 40 kilometers northeast of Seoul, near the heavily militarized border with North Korea. South Korea's Air Force issued an apology for the incident, adding that 8 500-pound Mk-82 bombs from a KF-16 jet fell outside the shooting range during joint live-fire exercises. Residents in the area have protested about the disturbance and potential danger from nearby training grounds for years. The Defense Ministry said earlier on Thursday that South Korea and U.S. forces were holding their first joint live-fire exercises in Pocheon, linked to annual military drills due to start next week. South Korea and the United States will kick off their annual Freedom Shield exercises on March 10, Monday, according to Seoul's Joint Chiefs of Staff. The joint drills, which will run until March 20, aim to strengthen the readiness of the alliance for threats such as North Korea. Severe, unrelenting rains are turning streets into rivers across Spain, and emergency crews are working round the clock to rescue those stranded by the floodwaters, while communities face dangerous conditions and schools remain closed. Beverly Madrid gives us an update from Spain.
Yes, Alma, the region Castellon has been hit hard by relentless heavy rains. Streets have transformed into rivers, making travel nearly impossible. Emergency services have been working tirelessly, rescuing numerous individuals trapped in their vehicles on flooded roads.
¡Hostia! ¿De quién es el coche ese? ¡Se va el coche!
Everything is under control. We just met with local police and Guardia Civil. There are 15 roads closed and we have registered incidents in 15 houses. We couldn't get to the other part of the town yet because the river Turin has overflowed.
The Spanish Meteorological Agency NET has issued a red alert for Castellon due to the severity of the downpours. In response, local authorities have closed schools to ensure the safety of students and staff. The situation is equally dire in the Canary Islands. In Gran Canaria, particularly in the city of Telde, torrential rains have led to severe flooding. Dramatic footage shows cars being swept away by powerful currents, underscoring the intensity of the situation. Tragically, the extreme weather has claimed lives. In Murcia, a 50-year-old farmer was found deceased after being swept away by flash floods. He was a well-known and beloved figure in the community, leaving behind 2 teenage children. Looking ahead, adverse weather is expected to persist throughout the week. Authorities are urging residents to remain vigilant, follow weather updates, and avoid unnecessary travel to ensure their safety. Reporting from Spain, I'm Beverly Madrid for NET25 World News.
A potentially destructive weather system is hovering off Australia's eastern coast, with officials taking urgent precautions. Cyclone Alfred has stalled off Australia's east coast, creating an anxious waiting game for residents from Queensland to New South Wales.
But we have seen overnight a delay in terms of when the tropical cyclone is due to cross the coast. This does not mean, however, that there is any reduction in terms of the severity of this future event. In fact, now we're already seeing rainfall at significant levels, and people on the north coast are already responding to this, and they are living in it at the moment.
Officials have closed airports, schools, and public transportation systems as communities prepare for what could be significant flooding when the Category 2 storm finally makes landfall. Weather authorities now expect Alfred to hit near Brisbane, Australia's third largest city, by Saturday morning.
We will experience at least one of those key 4 challenges: waves, wind, rainfall, and/or flooding. and it's important that Queenslanders prepare for that. I want to address the cyclone intensity. It remains as a Category 2. And obviously, we have seen the delay in the system heading towards the coast. Literally in the last few minutes, we've been updated that that could now push into Saturday morning. So if we just unpack where we've been, we overnight saw the system spin around on itself, and then it has resumed its journey into the coast.
Storm warnings now extend more than 500 kilometers along the northeast coast. Massive waves generated by the cyclone are already causing beach erosion, and emergency officials are urging residents in flood-prone areas to evacuate before conditions deteriorate further. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has confirmed that defense forces stand ready to support emergency services as the situation develops. A powerful winter storm has left millions in the Midwest and beyond grappling with treacherous travel conditions, widespread power outages, and severe weather warnings. A powerful winter storm hit the Midwest, causing hazardous travel conditions and widespread disruptions. In Iowa, eyewitnesses described near-zero visibility, with one stranded driver saying,
"This is where we're at. We can't even tow. I mean, you literally cannot see. It's really bad."
Kansas and Nebraska face blizzard conditions with strong winds and heavy snow. Footage from the next Kansas showed the streetlights shaking in the wind. The National Weather Service issued blizzard warnings across the region, urging residents to avoid travel. The storm closed many schools and a significant stretch of Interstate 80 from Lincoln to Grand Island in Nebraska. Despite some reopenings, many roads remained impassable due to stranded vehicles. Authorities advised caution and urged travelers to check road conditions before venturing out. China is holding firm on its economic growth target of around 5% for 2025, despite mounting U.S. trade tariffs and domestic challenges. Premier Li Qiang announced $179 billion in new stimulus measures to boost the economy, including subsidies for electric vehicles and appliances, as Beijing grapples with weak consumer spending and a struggling property sector. The move comes as trade tensions with the U.S. escalate, putting additional pressure on China's growth strategy.
China's parliament is holding its annual meeting under the shadow of U.S. tariffs. With President Xi Jinping looking on, lawmakers on Wednesday committed extra money to boost the economy. China will now issue some $179 billion in special bonds to lift growth. That includes money to subsidize purchases of electric vehicles, appliances, and other goods. Premier Li Qiang said the country faced increasing external pressures.
Over the past year, amid increasing external pressures and growing internal challenges, China has faced a complex and severe situation. Under the strong leadership of the CPC Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core, people of all ethnic groups across the country have forged ahead with determination, overcome difficulties, and ensured overall economic stability with steady progress. The main economic and social development goals for the whole year have been successfully achieved.
Since coming to power in January, US President Donald Trump has added 20% to existing tariffs on Chinese goods.
China's average tariff on our products is twice what we charge them.
And economists bet there could be more to come. China on Tuesday shot back with its own duties on US exports, and the mounting trade war has put pressure on Beijing to take new stimulus measures. China also faces headwinds including weak household spending and a debt-laden property sector. Even so, Li said the country would set the same growth target as last year.
The key expected development targets for this year are economic growth of around 5%, an urban unemployment rate surveyed at around 5.5%, over 12 million new urban jobs, a consumer price increase of around 2%, resident income growth in line with economic growth, and a basically balanced international balance of payments.
Since the pandemic, China has bet on what it calls new productive forces, pouring money into things like advanced manufacturing. But economists have urged Beijing to do more to reduce the country's dependence on exports. On Wednesday, Li said the government would take steps to boost household spending, currently far below the global average. However, he offered no timeline for the measures.
Now, China's newly imposed tariffs on U.S. agricultural products are set to alter global trade dynamics, driving the world's largest agricultural importer to increase its procurement of meat, dairy, and grains from South America, Europe, and Pacific nations. Take a look.
China's new tariffs on US farm goods are poised to reshape global trade flows. The country retaliated swiftly on Tuesday against fresh US duties, announcing hikes of 10% and 15% to import levies, covering $21 billion worth of American agricultural goods. Now, China, the world's top agricultural importer, will need to source more meat, dairy, and grains from countries in South America, Europe, and the Pacific. Analysts and industry experts say shipments to China from key soybean supplier Brazil, top wheat exporter Australia, and major pork supplier Europe could surge as a trade war hots up. China is the largest market for US farm exports. It took over $29 billion worth of products in 2024. So any shift in trade flows could create opportunities for rival exporters. That would continue a trend in which China has curbed dependence on US agriculture since the trade war during President Donald Trump's first term. European and South American meat shipments to China are expected to rise as a result. But China's reliance on the US for chicken feet is likely to continue. Experts say alternatives would be difficult to source fully and quickly. About half of US soybean exports go to China. The latest tariff on US soybeans heralds even greater reliance on Brazil and Argentina.
Now, Malaysia is discussing with chip companies based in the country whether they can absorb the impact of potential U.S. tariffs on semiconductors, according to Trade Minister Tengku Zafrul in an interview, as the country looks to hedge against risks to its export-driven economy.
If it happens on our semiconductor industry, definitely will have a negative impact, right? That's why we're discussing with the companies, because it will. How we expect the country, expect the country is that, depending on the level of tariff, whether that tariff will be absorbed by the consumers, right? That means the tariff will continue, the export will continue to happen, but someone has to pay for the higher cost. Will it be the consumers or will it be the company that absorb? When we talk to the data center players, the Microsoft, the Googles, the AWS, the rest of them, there is not a concern because the allocation under Tier 2 is adequate, right? And the concern is who will use it, right? That is more on that's why I mentioned about the security, safeguards, etc. on that technology. Not so much. So like I said earlier, there will be no impact that was so far, right, from the growth and the data center that's been committed, because AI will be used by many. Right?
U.S. President Donald Trump said in February that he intended to impose tariffs on semiconductors starting at 25% or higher, though it's unclear when this decision could be made.
I'm going to be announcing tariffs on cars and semiconductors and chips and pharmaceuticals, drugs and pharmaceuticals, and lumber probably, and some other things over the next month or sooner. And it's going to have a big impact on America. We're bringing our businesses back. If they don't make their product in America, then they have to pay a tariff. But if they do make their product in America, they don't have to pay any tariff, which will it's all going to bring trillions of dollars into our treasury, or it's going to mean that there won't be any taxes because we won't have a fair base.
The Southeast Asian nation is home to a large semiconductor industry, including top U.S. multinationals such as Intel and Global Foundries, and is one of the top exporters of chips to the U.S. In a historic and controversial move, the United States has confirmed direct talks with Hamas, marking the first engagement with the group since it was designated a terrorist organization in 1997. The discussions led by U.S. hostage envoy Adam Bowler in Doha aim to secure the release of American hostages held in Gaza and explore a broader agreement to end the ongoing war, while President Trump has issued stern warnings to Hamas, threatening severe consequences if hostages are not freed. Take a look.
Washington confirmed on Wednesday it had held direct talks with militant group Hamas to free U.S. hostages held in Gaza, while U.S. President Donald Trump said again the group would have hell to pay if it didn't comply. Talking to Hamas breaks a long-standing taboo against negotiating with groups the U.S. sees as terrorist organizations. Hamas was declared a terrorist group in 1997. Sources told Reuters U.S. hostage affairs envoy Adam Bowler recently met with Hamas officials in Doha. When asked about the talks, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said Bowler has the authority to speak directly with Hamas.
Israel was consulted on this matter. And look, dialogue and talking to people around the world to do what's in the best interest of the American people is something that the president has proven is what he believes is good faith effort to do what's right for the American people.
Meanwhile, Trump issued a stark new threat against Hamas on social media. He demanded the group release all of the hostages now, not later, including the remains of dead hostages, or he would send Israel, quote, everything it needs to finish the job. Before he took office, Trump made similar threats, but again did not specify the exact action he might take if Hamas didn't comply. The US had long avoided direct engagement with the Islamist group, which raided southern Israel on October 7, 2023, sparking the devastating war in Gaza. A source said the recent discussions aimed to try and secure the release of Eden Alexander, a New Jerseyite believed to be the last living American hostage held by Hamas. He appeared in a video published by Hamas in November last year. 4 other US hostages have been declared dead by Israeli authorities.
And the news continues here on NET25. We'll be right back. In Barcelona, tech giants and innovators are gathering for what many call the Olympics of mobile technology. The Mobile World Congress kicked off this week with AI taking center stage alongside growing debates about ethics and regulation in the rapidly evolving digital landscape. Lovely Apple Joyce Fabros reports from Barcelona, Spain.
The Mobile World Congress, the world's premier event for mobile technology, is underway in Barcelona, promising a showcase of cutting-edge innovations and big industry announcements. Running from March 3 to 6, the event is buzzing with excitement around artificial intelligence, 5G advancements, and their growing role in daily life. But it's not just about technology. Ethical and legislative concerns are also taking center stage.
I think that AI is a complex topic with lots of threads to it, but certainly this will be the place, MWC, where all of those threads come together, where we will be talking about the very technical through to the ethical implications, through to the how do we handle data implications.
Protests also marked the opening day as demonstrators carrying Palestinian flags called for a ban on Israeli companies at the event. Meanwhile, King Felipe VI of Spain officially inaugurated the conference alongside Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez and other dignitaries. The King toured pavilions showcasing the latest technology innovations, even testing a Formula One simulator. Huawei made waves with its latest innovation, unveiling the Mate XT Ultimate, the world's first commercially available trifold smartphone.
So we have the Mate XT Ultimate design, which was originally launched in China in September of last year. And we actually had a global launch for this in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, just last month. This is basically the first trifold smartphone that you can buy commercially. But what we have is we have an extra fold that kind of goes like so, right? So outward folding phone that only use the hinge like this. And only later did we launch a phone with a hinge like we fold two ways, inward and outward. Our first foldable phone, aspects of folding into a single device, making this, well, essentially.
One highlight comes from Chinese company Honor, which unveiled its AI-powered deepfake detection technology.
Our deepfake detector can effectively inspect tiny details of pixels on your screen. So it can detect those deepfakes. It can identify the deepfakes and to tell our customers within 6 seconds.
Will be showed on the capsule right here, and we press the start detection button. Let's see what's going to happen. And I can remove the guy on the right side using just one sentence. And let's see how it works. Remove the person with yellow pants.
Alright, I can help the person you want to remove and tap. Done.
Okay, so right here we can see AI agent is handling the task. And the final picture will be right here.
Honor's AI agent is unique because we are the world's first GUI-based mobile AI agent. GUI stands for Graphic User Interface. It means that our AI agent can understand the screen. He can read your screen like a human, and then he can act on behalf of your permission, and then to act like a human to operate it.
Another major reveal came from Xiaomi, which launched its flagship Xiaomi 15 Ultra smartphone.
With this phone, we want to reach the top end of technology and photography. Like these two together is like what really can define our Xiaomi 15 Ultra.
AI continues to dominate discussions at Mobile World Congress. Renowned AI expert Jürgen Schmidt-Huber predicted a future where artificial intelligence becomes accessible to all.
AI is truly going to be for all. It's not a few big companies that are going to dominate everything. No, even today it's not clear whether they are going to be very profitable by selling AI services. No, the great profiteur of AI is going to be the little man, and AI will be 1,000,000 times better for the same price 30 years from now, and everybody is going to profit greatly from that.
Schmidt-Huber also highlighted the ethical complexities of AI's use in military applications and its potential to revolutionize robotics.
Yeah, so I can swipe to choose my persona, and then when I'm ready to take a photo, I will push the camera button on top. So right now I see it's telling me it's listening for my voice, so I can say recommend me a fitness exercise based on this equipment.
I think it's going to be the period dominated by physical AI, not just AI behind the screen, but AI for real robots. Because as soon as you have a robot that is smart enough to learn through experience to operate all the machines and all the tools that currently only humans can operate, as soon as you have such a smart but not super smart robot, you also have the basis for a self-replicating machine civilization, because such robots and other machines collectively can make copies of themselves.
As Mobile World Congress unfolds, it is clear that discussions here will shape the future of technology and how it integrates into our lives. Reporting from Barcelona, Spain, this is Lovely Applechoice Fabros for NET25 World News. Back to you, Alma.
And with that, we end tonight's broadcast. For everyone here on NET25, I'm Alma Angeles. Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you back tomorrow. Good night.